Okay, there's basically 3 courses to fondue. The first course is usually the cheese course. Then there is the meat course. Unless you're vegetarian, then it would be more of a vegetable course. And then there is the chocolate course. But today I'm going to be doing the meat course, or like I said, vegetarian. If you're vegetarian, it would be the vegetable course with the buffano. Now, one thing I noticed when I was doing the cheese course is this unit gets extremely hot. You're going to have to really be on your toes. You might have to even turn the pot off from time to time to keep from scorching the cheese, because it will scorch on you if you're not really careful. So basically, keep it turned down as low as you can and still maintain the flow of cheese. But anyway, on to the meat course or vegetable course. If you were doing vegetarian, you would have a vegetable broth and probably a white wine, but we're going to be doing filet mignon. So it's going to be a beef broth and a red wine. Some people would call this the beef bourguignon fondue, but I'm not using a burgundy wine. I'm using a Merlot because that's basically all I could find. And I've got some mushrooms here. Probably not going to be room for all of them. We'll see. I've got some potatoes here. That's 2 small potatoes cut, each one of them cut into 4 pieces. I have some filet mignon here. I have the fat that I trimmed off. Now, normally fat would be desirable if you were pan frying this. You would want to leave the fat, but with fondue, I think it's better to remove the fat. But I put that in the broth for flavor. I also add 2 tablespoons of butter, and I add a clove of garlic that's been mashed. And I throw in a few onions for extra flavor for the broth. And then our sauces tonight are going to be horseradish and steak sauce. But if I was doing an Asian fondue, I would probably break out the yum yum sauce, and I would do a different broth though. I would do an Asian broth, maybe a pho broth or something like that, because you want the flavor profiles to match your sauces. So anyway, as I said before you ever plug in the pot, make sure the dial is on 1. And before you unplug it, make sure the dial is on 1. So let's get to cooking. Okay, I'm ready to start. I've got the potatoes and mushrooms in there. You could actually cook these separately if you wanted to. But me, I'm just going to put them in the pot. And I'm going to put that clove of garlic for some extra flavor. And I'm going to put some onions, just a little bit of onion there, and that might be maybe an 1/8 of a cup, couple of tablespoons or something like that. And I'm going to put the fat trimmings from the filet mignon in there, and scatter that around. And I'm going to put the butter, and I'm going to put a cup of wine. Okay, and then I'm going to add the beef broth. You can make your own beef broth if you want to. Now, if you were doing seafood, like shrimp and such, you would want to do like maybe a fish broth. Okay, like I said, the possibilities are endless. Okay, and you only want to fill this to about 80% capacity because you don't want any boilovers. So that pretty much holds an entire carton of broth there. And I'm going to put the shield on, and I'm going to turn it up to 5, okay, to get it boiling. And I'm going to check it about every 5 minutes. And when the potatoes are tender, we're going to start with our filet mignon. Oh, I wish we had smell-o-vision right now because this smells so good. And so every few minutes, I turn these mushrooms. I flip them over so that they can cook evenly. And the potatoes, it's only been about 5 minutes, so they're not going to be anywhere near done. But anyway, that's where we're at. Now it's come to a rolling boil, so I have put it on 3 because I don't want to boil over. And I'm going to come back in about 5 more minutes. Okay, the potatoes are done. And so I have plated them. I removed them with a slotted spoon so as to not scratch the non-stick coating. Another thing that you want to be careful of, I don't know if I said anything about this earlier, is stabbing around and scratching the non-stick pot. It's better to keep a slotted spoon handy to remove anything that drops off of the fork. Now, dropping your food into the fondue carries a very severe penalty. The person who loses their food in the pot has to buy the next round of drinks. So, like I said, severe penalty. One more helpful tip. Be sure to slice and dice your meat into bite-sized pieces when it's partially frozen. It will be much easier to cut then. Gonna check on the garlic bread real quick. It's coming along, but not quite done. So if you have evaporation, you can always add some beef broth if it's evaporated too much. I think we're good here. Another word about cooking methods. You can also, instead of poaching the meats in a liquid, like beef broth and wine and so on, there is also the oil method, but I never use it because if you don't stay right on top of it and the temperature control, once the oil starts to smoke, it's ruined. So whatever meat is in the oil, everything has to be tossed out. You have to start all over. So that's the reason that I prefer the poaching method rather than the oil method. Okay, it's time to start with the meat. So place some on your fork. Place it in the pot. Oh, let me try here. Okay. And make sure that this rest is on. Okay, so that it will be held in place. And I will check mine once every minute. Some people set timers or whatever. It's usually anywhere from 1 to 4 or 5 minutes, depending on how done you want the meat. I go well done with even with filet because raw meats like medium well and rare and whatnot is not recommended for people with diabetes. So when it's at the stage you want it, you just remove it and use the sauce that you want and enjoy your filet mignon fondue. And so here I have the potatoes and I have some what you would call, I guess, crudité and some cheese and whatnot. And I have the sauces, the garlic bread, everything's all ready to go. And so we're ready to enjoy our meal. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.